Okay, I'm David Luke, the coordinator of the Africa Trade Policy Center at the UN Economic Commission for Africa. This workshop is trying to pull together a special issue for the Canadian Foreign Policy Journal that would focus on Canada's trade and development policies, especially as they impact Africa. And I think it's very timely to do this since it's very clear that the Canadian government is looking at these issues in a fresh way. And at the same time, Africa itself is changing. So these two streams meet, and I think it's worth looking at them in some depth to understand better what these currents are. Fundamentally, the issue really is poverty in Africa. And what can be done to drive economic growth, to reduce poverty, to achieve the globally agreed sustainable development goals, etc. Trade plays a role in this, and so it's important to look at the role that trade can play. So this whole question then of Canada's progressive trade policy enters into the discussion. But the starting point has to be poverty in Africa, inequalities. I think that's really is the starting point. Well, we know empirically that trade has historically played a major part in reducing poverty around the world. We have many historical examples of that. Canada itself is a dynamic trading nation, and its prosperity is pretty much related to its trade capacity. So really this is what we're looking at. So there are many cases from around the world. I think more recently you've seen the spectacular growth of China, again related to trade. So it's very clear that trade has a role to play, and there are many cases speaking to this. Academics, of course, do have certain theoretical orientations that they bring to bear to be able to make sense of a lot of data and so on. Policymakers, on the other hand, want to understand in very practical terms what sorts of decisions would make sense given all sorts of constraints, whether it's resource constraints or other practicalities, etc. But I think what we're trying to do here is to pull together in a very rigorous way conceptual approaches that would help us to explain possible new directions for Canada's engagement with Africa, and at the same time also would help us to understand how the trends that we see in Africa can be leveraged to help make Canadian interventions a success. It's not always easy marrying the conceptual with the practical sort of policy decision making, but it's possible, it's been done, it can be done again.